Welcome to the inspiration for today's project, Earth. Earth has so many awesome places that inspire artists. Yosemite Valley inspired someone to paint this amazing view. This type of artwork is called a landscape. A landscape's main focus is the land. Often it is a natural scenery. For example, mountains, deserts, farms, rivers, or lakes. Often it is a big or wide view. They can include buildings, people, and animals, but the scenery is usually the star of the picture. There are also some special variations of landscapes, including seascapes, where the focus is on the ocean, and cityscapes, or urban landscapes, with houses, streets, and skyscrapers. They all have scenery as the main focus of the picture. Artists sometimes sit outside and paint the view they see. This is called plein air painting. Sometimes they take a picture and paint it later. Notice, as an artist, you can change it however you want. Here they added chimneys and put a tree on a grassy field. Sometimes artists create wonderful imaginary landscapes, like these. One trick artists use to show space and distance is to think about the different parts of the landscape: the foreground, middle ground, and background. Look at this painting. The foreground includes the things closest to us. Usually they're at the bottom, like these green grasses. Since they're closer, they usually appear bigger and more detailed. The background includes the things farthest from us. Usually they're higher up on the paper, like this sky, house, green fields, and super small hay rolls. Since they're so far away, they're often smaller, less detailed, and sometimes blurry. The middle ground is the things in between the foreground and the background. Here, it would be the bigger hay rolls. They aren't as detailed as the foreground, but they're not as small and blurry as the background. Let's look at this landscape. If I want to add a tree to the foreground, I'd put it here. You can even see the apples on it. If I want to add the same tree to the middle ground, I'd put it higher on the paper, smaller, and less detailed. You won't see the apple. If I want to add the tree to the background, you might just see a speck. Notice that some things may cross over different zones. For instance, this road is in the foreground, middle ground, and background. See how it's bigger in the foreground or bottom of the paper and smaller in the background, just like the trees. This is known as perspective. Not all landscapes follow these tricks. For instance, this one doesn't really have different sizes, but having the distinct foreground, middle ground, and background help you see the flowers are closest to us. When people look at an artwork, they may label the parts of the landscape a little different, since often there are lots of things to see, but that is okay. Thinking of foreground, middle ground, and background help us see what's closer and farther away from us. And now we invite you to create your own landscape art. It could be some view of a desert, mountains, or lake, or some sort of building like a castle, farm, house, or cityscape. Even a landscape from a video game or your imagination. You could do something showing perspective like this road, or something that shows off foreground, middle ground, and background like the flowers by the sea. For this project, you have 3 options. You can design your own and just go for it. Or you can follow a step-by-step landscape that is in another video. There are 5 landscape scenes. You can pick one and use it to help you get going. You're always free to vary it as you wish. Or you can make a folding landscape scene. The tips are in a related video on how to create one. Here are some examples. The foreground, the middle ground, and the background. Now for some tips. First, start with a pencil and draw lightly so you can erase and adjust. What to draw first? Artists vary where they like to start a landscape, so there's no right answer. One idea is to start with the main focal point, or part of the picture you think people will notice first. Then you can adjust sizing and location of the things around it to make sense. But you can start wherever makes sense to you. And lastly, start without a lot of detail, so you can move things around or resize easily if you need to. Then add the finer details after. Enjoy creating your landscape. Be creative and have fun.